This public hearing before the Akron City Planning Commission will come to order. The order of procedure here today will be the Department of Planning and Urban Development will present each of the petitions or applications on the agenda. We will hear from the proponents. We will hear from the opponents. The Planning Commission members will then consider their decision on each matter. Our decision may be for approval, disapproval, or time for additional study. Anyone wishing to speak on a specific item under consideration will be recognized and identify himself or herself by name and address. And if you intend to speak or offer any comment or opinion pertaining to any items in this program, you will need to be sworn in for your testimony. Commission, may I have a recommendation for approval of the minutes from our previous meeting?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, Ms. York,
Aye.
Mr. Wyatt,
Aye.
Ms. Sweet Bunton,
Yes.
Ms. Boyes,
Staying.
Ms. Thurman,
Aye.
Mrs. Green.
Yes. Thank you. PC 2020-59S, sale of city-owned land within the Turkey Foot Industrial Park to Gardner Pie Company. You have Mr. Beckert sworn in, please.
Sure. Do you swear or affirm the testimony you give will be the truth?
I don't think he's in yet.
He was.
He was here.
Uh-huh.
Here we go. He's coming back. 1 second. Brad, can you hear us?
Yeah, sorry, my Wi-Fi went out in the office, so. Can you hear me?
Okay. We were at the point of swearing you in.
Okay,
All right, if you could, raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm the testimony you give will be the truth?
yes, I do.
Okay, Mr. Beckert.
Okay, this is for the Turkey Foot Industrial Park item, the vacant land sale to Gardner Pie. City's the owner of the property located in Turkey Foot Industrial Park, which is adjacent to Gardner Pie. It's approximately 19 acres that we want to sell to the company. It's going to be for additional manufacturing to expand their facility. Basically, they're almost going to double the size of their facility and add an additional 268,000 square feet. They manufacture, I should say, frozen pies and all kinds of frozen foods. They're going to add an additional 20 to 30 people when this facility is completed. It's going to be completed in phases. The city is willing and like to fast track the sale of land so we can get it into the hands of the developer and the property owner and the manufacturers so they can continue to grow and develop in the city of Akron.
Thank you. Those persons wishing to speak on this item, proponents? Can we have them sworn in, please?
Sure. If you're going to testify, please raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm the testimony you will give will be the truth?
Yes.
Thank you. You may proceed.
Yeah, so this is Jason Goff with Gardner Pie Company. And just to reiterate what Brad had said is that we are looking to expand our operation. We are currently working with the city on the purchase of the property. We're also working with some local companies, architect and a design build firm for the additional space that we're going to be needed. This will be in phases, and provided that we are able to acquire the property, and we would like to start the project as soon as possible. We would like to begin sometime early next year. There were plans originally to do this sooner. In light of COVID and other things, some of those plans got delayed and pushed out until now. But we are planning on starting next year and doing a phased approach to this process.
Okay, can we have an address for you before we hear from another person?
I'm sorry?
May we have an address for you?
Sure, it's 191 Logan Parkway.
Thank you. Is there anyone else wishing to speak on this item? Anyone speak in opposition? Questions from the commission?
Renee, I have a question.
Yes.
So will the existing building be still utilized? Are you adding, it's hard to, I'm not real good at reading plans. So.
Yeah, so the idea here is in addition to the current facility. The facility will still be utilized. But what we need is additional manufacturing space, and that's what we're looking to do with this expansion.
The existing building is shown in this gray box that I'm bounding.
Ah, okay.
This is the existing facility today.
Okay. Yeah, on the map that we're given, you don't see the building super, over it. So I wasn't sure what was what on the image. So thank you. And thank you for expanding in Akron. That's awesome.
Thank you.
Okay, I just have a quick question about traffic. I know you guys get pretty jammed up out there during holidays. Will any of this land accommodate the extra traffic?
That is part of the design plan. So we are looking the retail or the outlet store is part of this phased approach. It may not be phase one, but it is going to be part of the plan for additional outlet store retail space, parking, customer access, those kinds of things. To your point, yes, it does get very congested during the holidays.
Right. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions from commission? Recommendation?
Move to approve. Second.
Ms. Boyce,
Yes.
Mr. Wyatt,
Yes.
Ms. Sweet Bunton, Mrs. Sweet Bunton,
Oh, yes. Sorry, I was on mute.
Mr. York. I'm sorry, Ms. York,
Aye.
Ms. Thurman, Mr. Thurman, Ms. Thurman,
Aye.
Mrs. Green.
Aye. Thank you.
Wow.
PC 2020-53CU, petition of Tangier Inc. and the LeBron James Family Foundation for conditional use to establish a sports complex. I'm sorry, let me start over. Ladies and gentlemen, public hearing before the Akron City Planning Commission will come to order. The order of procedure here today will be the Department of Planning and Urban Development will present each of the petitions or applications on the agenda. We will hear from the proponents. We will hear from the opponents. The Planning Commission members will then consider their decision on each matter. Our decision may be for approval, disapproval, or time for additional study. Anyone wishing to speak on a specific item under consideration will be recognized and identify himself or herself by name and address. And if you intend to speak or offer any comment or opinion pertaining to any items in this program, you will need to be sworn in for your testimony. And I'm going to ask Mr. Antonucci and if Mr. George or Michelle or Ian, any of those can all be sworn in at the same time? David?
Sure. Um, if you're going to testify, please raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're going to give today is the truth?
I do.
Okay, PC 2020-53 CU, petition of Tangier Inc. and the LeBron James Family Foundation for conditional use to establish a sports complex and event space and to install additional signage at 532 West Market Street for the I Promise School. Mr. Antonucci.
Thank you, Madam Chair, Commission members. Tangier Inc. and the LeBron James Family Foundation seek to develop the top level of the existing parking deck into a sports complex and event space for the students and families of the I Promise School. The existing deck surface would be reconditioned and striped to provide 3 basketball courts, a soccer pitch with bleachers, a running course, and courts for pickleball and similar activities. The centrally located event space would feature an arched canopy covering a stage An enclosed concession area and restrooms would be added near the west stairwell. A mesh fence panel system would be installed along the upper perimeter of the structure. New mural artwork still to be finalized and painted signage would enliven the most visible portions of the north, east, and west exterior walls of the parking structure. The current Tangier projecting sign would be relocated to the northwest corner of the structure. A new 10 feet by 10 inch wide by 22 feet 3 inch in height sign would project a total of 12 feet 4 inches from the northeast corner of the deck. This sign, similar to the current one, would extend over the public walk. Would feature the I Promise School logo as well as those of sponsor partners, Smuckers and Dick's Sporting Goods that enable the LeBron James Family Foundation to serve the community. The space will be used exclusively by the LeBron James Family Foundation and the I Promise School. One goal of the Land Use and Development Guide Plan is to provide a full range of recreational facilities to meet the basic needs of the residents of the city. The proposed development represents an adaptive reuse of an underutilized structure. The additional activity and bright facade will revitalize the aging parking deck and provide a sense of liveliness in the area. Additional signage would be incorporated within the artistic murals and would not seem out of scale on this large 3-acre urban parcel. Proposed event space and sports complex follows numerous other investments in the West Hill neighborhood by the LeBron James Family Foundation, including the I Promise School on West Market Street, the I Promise Housing on Cedar Street, and the I Promise Village on Rhodes Avenue. The facility will provide students a safe place for outdoor physical activities, as well as community space for family events in close proximity to their school and homes. And planning staff recommends approval subject to conditions.
Thank you. Anyone wishing to speak in favor of this item? You give us your name and address.
Hi, this is Ian Jones with Van Parsons Gray Architects. Our address is 3660 Embassy Parkway, Akron 44333.
Thank you.
And we've put together the plans for the top of the Tangier parking deck, and like Mr. Antonucci said, it's 3 basketball courts, an area for a soccer field, and event space. And most of that would just be painting to get it up and running and get those courts defined. And then there would also be supplemental new buildings for restrooms on the top of the deck, and then storage and concessions. We will likely need to add a 3rd stair to the top of the deck just to provide the adequate amount of emergency egress for the, higher quantity of people rather than cars. And since the building was built, or the deck was built a while back where the codes were a little different then. And then the perimeter of the top deck will have a fence to protect, surrounding properties from, say, a stray ball. The fence on the West Market side will be ornamental as well, so it'll have a more grand facade on that side, and it won't just look like a chain link fence, for example. And otherwise, the improvements include the signage, and that will be largely what was shown in the plan, but also up to an artistic interpretation. I'm sure it'll look a lot better than what we presented. So I think that is generally an overview of the proposed plan, and what was just pulled up. You can see in an aerial view how we have that new facade wrap the front and a little bit of the corners at West Market. You can see a proposed canopy over a gathering area. So for events where students and their parents might come to, they would have, say, a stage where everyone can watch an event that's hosted by the school. Since this is a school, I don't imagine there's any late night events that would occur. So I don't think sound would be an issue at all with this improvement. So I think that's a good overview of the design, but I'm welcome to answer any questions.
Okay, can we hear if there's someone else to speak in favor of this item? Anyone speak in opposition? Okay, questions from the commission?
I have a question. How high is the fence that faces Market? And I'm just worried about errant balls, and I know it's to prevent errant balls, but how is that tested? I mean, you get a pretty strong kid, or because Market Street's pretty busy, and that could be really scary if a ball flies over. So I just want to know how that's determined, what the height is, and how it's tested to make sure balls won't go over.
So the proposed design shows the more architectural fence being 18 feet above the level of the roof. And we put the basketball courts on the side facing West Market because, a basketball hoop is at 10 feet. And sure, anyone can intentionally, throw a basketball as high in there as they can. But because the hoops are, 4 to 5 feet off the edge of the deck, and that the rim is at 10 feet, and the arc of that ball, we think that height is a good assumption to cover pretty much any scenario, except for an extremely intentional act of throwing a ball over the edge.
Any other question? Okay, Ian, I have a question about, I know you said family and students. What accommodations do you have for handicap accessibility?
So our plans right now would be that there would be no parking on the roof deck. There would likely be a handicap parking space on the second level. And then from that point, we would have a incline lift along the edge of the ramp to bring anyone that is wheelchair bound up the ramp and up to the top of the deck. there are code requirements for accessibility access. And so that is something that we'll need to, we'll have to present that plan to the Summit County Building Department and then make sure that we're code compliant and that that would be a approved alternative instead of an elevator. From what I've looked at preliminarily, that would be an approved method of providing accessibility. So that's our current plan.
Okay, let me ask you that we're in Northeast Ohio, temperatures change, weather conditions change. What plans are there for monitoring use during inclement weather?
I don't have an answer on that. I'm not sure if someone from the foundation would want to answer that more, or we can just look at that and provide an answer. I would assume that, weather would be monitored before an event starts, and that if there was a risk of inclement weather, that event would be postponed.
You're correct, and you won't be able to get, you just can't walk off the street and get up to that deck. So
Yeah,
the venue.
Michelle, could you just give us your name and address, please?
My name's Michelle Campbell, 3800 Embassy Parkway, Akron.
Thank you.
So much like we do events all the time, Ian is correct. We monitor weather. If we have to postpone or change a date due to weather, we do so. It would be the same process we use.
Cloudbursts happen. So we can't always predict. And I would suggest you guys have some kind of canvas or something to throw over your concept there and do nothing more than protect what your investment is.
Mm-hmm. And we do have the covered canopy area that's proposed. And so that will provide some shelter for a decently large quantity of people. And we would still have, the ability to go down to the next level if weather was really bad, really abruptly. So I think that the design as well as the procedures that they would have in place would be adequate for even a surprise weather event.
Okay, any other questions?
Yes, Madam Chair. So will the facility be open to the community, or is this strictly for students in the LeBron James school?
I can answer that. The first and foremost, it's for access for our families and for our students. Once we figure out how that space works, we'd like to open it to the community.
Okay.
But we will first we've never operated an athletic complex. So we'll first get our feet wet, much like we did with the I Promise Village, and learn what it's like to be a landlord. But once we do that, we would love to open it to our community around the events that our families and students would be having there.
Great, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Is there any liability on the property owners or any incidents, or is everything according to the LJFF?
Yeah, we're working very closely with the George family, and our insurance agents we're covering the insurance for that space in our events.
Where do spectators sit? Are there going to be bleachers? I mean, I'm sure the families are going to want to watch their kids play soccer and basketball.
There are bleachers for the soccer fields, soccer field. There are not bleachers for the basketball courts. There are 3 basketball courts. I would assume that if there's some type of tournament, then there would just be, standing room, or they would choose to only use, say, 2 of those courts and allow spectators in the center court, for example. I can't say whether there would be a tournament. I don't know if there's any plans. I'm assuming there's no plans right now for anything just beyond recreational play and not anything sanctioned or organized as far as a sports group.
That's correct. First and foremost, we've recognized we need to provide more outdoor safe places for our children and families to gather and play. A lot of them live in places that they don't have that option. So first and foremost, that's our priority. Again, if we live in that space and learn that there's an interest to have little tournaments, or we will figure out if and how we can do that. But first and foremost, this is a safe place for them to run around and shoot a ball or kick a soccer ball or whatever it might be.
Okay, Michelle, in getting to the Tangier from the I Promise school, will the students be expected to walk or be transported?
Yes, if we have events after school or during, much like we do Balch Street, we walk. It's closer than Balch Street when we redid that court. What's very nice is it's on the same side of the street. But yes, we will walk.
Thank you. Anyone else with questions?
Madam Chair, I had a quick question. Regarding the sign, I'm just curious, and Mike, you may be able to answer this, scale wise, how is that sized in comparison to the existing Tangier sign?
The sign is about the same size, a little bit bigger because there's a couple signs there. It does exceed general code requirements, which is part of the reason why they need the conditional use. So the whole design of the signs haven't been finalized yet. We expect when it is, that we can take that through our urban design commission to take a look at that. But that is part of the reason here why, for getting the conditional use. The signage is going to be, big and bright and kind of splashy, which we feel is appropriate here, from our recommendation standpoint. But yeah, it is oversized signage by code.
Yeah, and the reason I ask, none of them were able to join, but some folks from the West Hill Neighborhood Association or CDC had some concerns over that, but it sounds like that's still being worked out and maybe can be worked out at the urban design level.
Correct.
Okay, any other questions? We'll declare the public hearing closed. What is recommendation from the commission?
Move to approve.
Second.
Okay, Ms. Boyes,
Yes.
Mr. Wyatt,
Yes.
Mrs. Sweet Bunton,
Yes.
Mrs. York,
Aye.
Ms. Thurman,
Aye.
Mrs. Green.
Yes. Thank you. And ladies and gentlemen, this public hearing before the Akron City Planning Commission will come to order. The order of procedure here today will be the Department of Planning and Urban Development will present each of the petitions or applications on the agenda. We will hear from the proponents. We will hear from the opponents. The Planning Commission members will then consider their decision on each matter. Our decision may be for approval, disapproval, or time for additional study. Anyone wishing to speak on a specific item under consideration will be recognized and identify himself or herself by name and address. If you intend to speak or offer any comment or opinion pertaining to any items in this program, you will need to be sworn in for your testimony. And do we have someone here for PC 2020-58CU, petition of Akron 2000 Britton Road LLC for conditional use to establish commercial use cabinet assembly and distribution at 2000 Britton Road, former Sears. Are the petitioners here?
Yes.
Okay, can we have them sworn in, please?
Sure. If you seek to testify, please raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm the testimony you will give will be the truth?
I do.
Do.
Okay, Mr. Antonucci?
Thank you, Madam Chair, Commission members. Akron 2000 Britton Road LLC is proposing to acquire this property and lease the former Sears department store building to a tenant who would establish a cabinet assembly and distribution facility. The petitioner would repurpose the former Sears department store building for their cabinet assembly and distribution tenant. Petitioner also intends to create outparcel opportunities and locate a similar commercial tenant into the Sears automotive building once more activity on the site is generated. Drastic changes to the exterior of the former Sears department store building is not anticipated, although some additional loading docks and new signage would be added. Further investment in the building would include new lighting and heating. Water service would need to be separated from the adjacent Chapel Hill Mall property for exclusive use. Landscape areas will be restored with plantings and maintained. Prospective cabinet assembly and distribution tenant is headquartered in Akron and has been working with the city to identify a suitable location. This would be the site of one of its operations. Petitioner states the renovation of the property into this commercial use would yield from 35 to 75 jobs. A goal of the Land Use and Development Guide Plan is to promote the preservation and revitalization of viable business districts. Ideally, another big box retail anchor would have seen fit to occupy this space, but realistically, due to a decline in traditional retail users with shifts in how shoppers spend their money through travel, technology, and restaurants, and the use and a rise in online shopping, malls across America have been faced with the need to diversify by fulfilling other community needs for commerce. The use of this long vacant space for commercial use will yield jobs and provide daily activity on the site that will have the potential to generate business activity in the area. And planning staff recommends approval subject to conditions. Thank you.
Thank you. And who is here to speak in favor of this item?
Yeah, it's Chris Samerjan. I'm the owner of ICP. We're the folks buying the building.
Okay, can you give us your address, please?
Yes, it's 6675 Parkland Boulevard, Solon, Ohio, 44139.
I'm sorry, I didn't see him sworn in because we can't see him and I didn't hear him. So can he get sworn in separately?
Sure. Do you swear or affirm the testimony you'll give is the truth?
I do. Sorry, I was on mute and I just had surgery yesterday. I apologize.
Thank you.
Yeah, all good. So can I answer any questions for you?
Could you please tell me, he mentioned 35 to 75 jobs. Are those new jobs or are you bringing on employees from where you currently exist?
So we're just the real estate investors. We're acquiring the building. We are going to go ahead and retrofit the building. We are not the tenant for the building. The tenant is somebody we've been working with for quite a while and have had experience with them. Also, the city of Akron was working with them on a parallel basis. And it came together where we found the opportunity working also with the Del Roth at the city and with the user company. But the company is in Akron right now. They had an opportunity to go outside of Akron into the suburbs, but by securing this Sears store, we kept them in the city. And their business grows. I think they started in 30,000 square feet. Now they're in 60,000 and they're going to 150,000. So I think it's going in the right direction.
Okay, is there anyone here that is representing the company?
No.
Okay. Anyone else to speak in favor of this item? Anyone speak in opposition? Okay, questions from the commission?
Madam Chair, yes. What will be the terms of the lease in terms of the space being occupied? And what's that going to look like?
It's a full building, the main building, the Sears store itself, not the auto center. It's a full building lease for 10 years.
Good.
So that's a very significant commitment in our minds.
Yeah.
And there are no termination options or anything like that.
Okay, thank you.
Thank
Any
you.
other questions from commission?
Did you acquire the parking that goes along with the building, I assume, for?
Yes, it's a 20-acre parcel, 21 acres actually. So
Okay.
there could be some out parcel development. I want to be, we've done multiple projects in the city of Akron, and I always want to be conservative. But my opinion is once we lease the Sears store and put them in, we'll get the auto center leased. We'll see what happens with the mall. I mean, our plans would be to go further if we can, if it allows. And then I also see some new building development. So activity breeds activity. And, fortunately or unfortunately, the self-storage going into Macy's is a use, but, didn't bring much population there. I think this use will spur more development in the area. And, with the new roadway improvement and everything going on over there, I think it's a really good time to put this into gear.
Okay, any other questions?
I have a question, Madam Chair.
Yes.
When do you envision this project to get started, and when would it be completed?
It's a great question. The tenant needs to be in no later than March or April. I'd say April would be the latest. We'd have to get started with interior demolition, probably within the next 60 days.
Thank you.
Any other questions? We'll declare the public hearing closed. What is the recommendation from the commission?
Move to approve.
Second.
And Ms. Boyce,
Yes.
Mr. Wyatt,
Yes.
Sweet Bunton,
Yes.
Mrs. York,
Aye.
Sturman,
Yes. Aye.
Mrs. Green.
Yes. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, this public hearing before the Akron City Planning Commission will come to order. The order of procedure here today will be the Department of Planning and Urban Development will present each of the petitions or applications on the agenda. We will hear from the proponents. We will hear from the opponents. Planning Commission members will then consider their decision on each matter. Our decision may be for approval, disapproval, or time for additional study. Anyone wishing to speak on a specific item under consideration will be recognized and identify himself or herself by name and address. If you intend to speak or offer any comment or opinion pertaining to any item of this program, you will need to be sworn in for your testimony. This PC 2020-41CU, petition of Jeanette Farrell for conditional use to construct a parking space within the front yard setback at 1259 East Avenue. And if someone is here representing this other than Mr. Antonucci, can we have them sworn in?
If you intend to testify, please raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm the testimony you give will be the truth? Please say I do.
What's the correct item for?
Yeah, I see Lena there. Maybe she can't hear us.
1 second.
Lena, you need to raise your right hand, be sworn in.
Yes, I do. I do.
Okay, you swear or affirm the testimony you give will be the truth?
Okay, Mr. Antonucci?
Yes, I do. Yes, I do.
Okay.
Thank you, Madam Chair, Commission members. Jeanette Farrell is requesting permission to construct a parking space adjacent to the East Avenue right-of-way. The desired proximity to the right-of-way requires conditional use approval. The petitioner is attempting to provide a suitable parking space for a handicapped tenant. The general topography of this portion of East Avenue slopes downward immediately from the street at a significant grade. The proposed parking space will be paved with asphalt grindings within the short front yard area. The grindings would be placed on both sides of a sloped central walkway that leads from the front door of the dwelling to the city sidewalk. Access to the parking space would be from the current driveway on the north side of the building. Planning staff, as well as other city departments, have concerns about the ability to ensure that vehicles would not impede the right-of-way and sidewalk and allow for safe passage of pedestrian traffic, including ADA accessibility on the sidewalk at all times. The Metro RTA bus stop at this location further complicates the situation and magnifies these concerns. Maneuvering in the space would be exacerbated by the landscaping in front of the dwelling, the utility pole adjacent to the curb cut, and the angle of the driveway to the street. A requested parking space would not seem to solve the need to provide a level parking space without creating other safety issues. The planning staff notes that adjacent property to the north contains a relatively flat surface that would be more suitable to providing the desired parking, and recommends the petition release or require a portion of this land to meet the tenant's needs. And planning staff recommends disapproval. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone here to speak in favor of this item? Someone here to speak in favor of this item? Anyone speak in opposition? Questions from the commission?
It looks to me like, is lagging a little bit.
Can I
Nina-
speak?
Yes, please.
Can I speak?
Yes, go ahead.
Okay, I do agree that I'm Lena Young. Oh, sorry.
Yes, your name and address, please. We have your name and address.
My name and my address, my address is 1263. My address is 1263 East Avenue. I'm Lena Young. I don't know why my phone is breaking up. Oh, this is.
We can hear you. You can go ahead.
And I agree with, there is a hardship with parking on East Avenue, the upper part closer to. I do agree that it is a hardship parking in the driveways of East Avenue, in the middle of East Avenue Hill, before you get to. I don't. Close.
Okay, ma'am, we can't tell if you're for or against this item.
Well, I am for it in some instances, and then I am against it in some, because it's an inconvenience for the bus. It's an inconvenience. It's an inconvenience. Like I said, I'm for it. I'm for it.
Okay, is there anyone else to speak in favor or in opposition? Any questions from the commission?
I just have.
I'm for it. I'm for it.
Yes.
Has anyone spoken with the property owner or the person in the property about an alternative spot? Because something's mentioned here that there may be a better place for that, but has anyone spoken to him or her directly?
Yes, I've spoken to the owner, who actually lives in Idaho. But she's in the area quite a bit. And I think she may own other real estate around. Yeah, this is a tough situation because the way the driveway slopes down to the side, it's difficult for her to get a lot of cars in there. So she has a gentleman with a handicap with some ADA requirements who's parking in the front yard. And it's essentially it's not a very stable space there. There's some grass area, but the problem is that there's not a lot of room there, and the car hangs over into the sidewalk. There's a bus stop right there too. It's quite an issue there. Ran it through other city departments here, Public Works. Our architect looked at it here. It just doesn't seem, it's just not a safe spot there for somebody to park. So, other alternatives may be for her to, look at the property owner at 1241 to the north, and maybe have work on some kind of an easement arrangement or something to that effect to have more additional space there. So there may be some other alternatives for her. But it's unfortunate that she has a tenant who has to park in the front area, but it's also, it's hard for us to recommend approval of that with the obvious, encroachment into the right of way and that bus stop. So
if this is disapproved, will the tenant continue to park in the front yard and overhang onto the sidewalk? I mean, that's not good either.
It's not good. It's just a tough situation. Now, I'm not saying that, she may need to find other tenants. It may not be the best place for that particular person. There are other alternatives. She may be able to widen out the driveway a bit, the existing driveway, and again, maybe lease some more space, to the north. There could be some other things she could do, but it's right there by that pole, trying to back in and out. There's not even enough room there for a handicap spot. It doesn't meet ADA requirements. It's just not there's no real easy solution there. Now she can go and request conditional use. I mean, she's requesting conditional use. She can go maybe get an approval through council. We'd have to really, I don't know what the solution would be. There'd have to be some serious construction done to make that work.
The construction, though, would be the responsibility of the property owner, though, correct?
That's correct.
Okay.
So the driveway that's already there, who's parking in that?
Well, all the tenants can park there. There is a legitimate driveway there. It does slope down. So in the wintertime, it's a little challenging. She could make some changes to that too. She could fix the grade on the existing driveway and do some things on that side of the house as well. So that's another option for her to look into. It's just out of convenience, and especially for this one, handicapped gentleman to be able to park in the front.
Thanks for the picture. That's really helpful.
I went ahead and shared my screen just so you guys could see what that looks like.
Is that burgundy car that's in front of the house where they want to put the driveway?
Yes, they would be coming in their existing driveway and just turn around there. Now those bushes right there, they're not there now. I can show you, I can actually screen share a more current picture, but the bushes aren't there. And they're actually pulling in that driveway and parking in front of right over that little walkway that leads to the front door. And the back of the cars and the van stick out over the sidewalk. The power pole that's there is where the bus stop is.
Wait, I'm confused. The burgundy car that was there seems to be, can you go back to that picture?
Sure, I can. I just unshared it so Mike could maybe share one, but I can go back there for a second, then I'll unshare it and he can pull one up.
Because it sounds like we're talking about two different spots. There's a spot right next to the cars where the bush is. And then see where the burgundy car is behind the couch in the garbage can? Is that the spot where the car is currently parked, or is it next to the black car in front of the house? Perpendicular.
Yeah, it's next to the black car. Yeah.
So what's that burgundy car doing?
I'm sorry, it's directly in front of the house. That burgundy car, this is an older picture. That burgundy car is there, and it was actually using the neighbor's driveway to get there. And that's Lena, who we have here on the call. They were actually using her driveway to get into to park in the front of the house there.
Is that a legitimate parking space, the burgundy?
No, it's not. That's an illegal situation. This has been going on for quite some time. This is a screenshot from Google Earth. Here's I can show you a more recent picture.
I'll unshare it, Mike, so you can pull a more recent one.
Mike, how many tenants are actually at this site?
That I don't know. I know that there's a family. It's actually a duplex. So there's a family and there's another family member who's living in the other dwelling unit. So it's really one family, but they both have two separate units that they're occupying.
Yeah, it's a shame because whether we approve it or deny it, it seems like they're going to just be parking there. So that's a problem.
Yeah, it's going to be a problem, but it's our problem because it's a zoning violation, and we'll just have to deal with it that way.
Any other questions from the commission?
Is there no way to kind of, I'm sorry, I'm looking at it on my second screen, but is there no way to extend the driveway like down behind the house, or I don't know?
Yeah, so what would have to happen is, yeah, there's a possibility to, build up that driveway a little bit along the side. Maybe, she'd have to build some kind of a better, platform for the cars to park on, but that is a solution. I mean, she can like build up that slope. She could also, you look at, possibly getting a little bit more land from the property owner to the north. And I talked to her about that to give a little bit more space for parking. So there are some other options there. It may be a little costly for her, but there are some options there. But just keep in mind that this situation has been, the house was built this way. This is a situation that's been in place for quite some time, and when those tenants, were brought in to lease that property, they were aware of the situation, so.
I think it's important that the city, make sure that we are supporting the zoning laws that are in place. I don't think that we should be making exceptions to that. With respect to this, I think we need to make sure that, we keep the city looking nice. There's been just so many, I can just drive down Manchester Boulevard. It's crazy how many violations and things that are going on a daily basis. So anyways.
Any other questions? Declare the public hearing closed. Recommendation from the commission.
Move to disapprove allowance of the driveway.
Second.
Okay, Ms. Boyce,
Yes.
Mr. Wyatt,
Yes.
Mrs. Sweet Bunton,
Yes.
Mrs. York,
Aye.
Mrs. Thurman,
Aye.
Mrs. Green.
Yes. Thank you. And ladies and gentlemen, this public hearing before the Akron City Planning Commission will come to order. The order of procedure here today will be the Department of Planning and Urban Development will present each of the petitions or applications on the agenda. We will hear from the proponents. We will hear from the opponents. Planning Commission members will then consider their decision on each matter. Our decision may be for approval, disapproval, or time for additional study. Anyone wishing to speak on a specific item under consideration will be recognized and identify himself or herself by name and address. If you intend to speak or offer any comment or opinion pertaining to any items in this program, you will need to be sworn in for your testimony. And this is in reference to PC 2020-50 CU, petition of Oakview Capital Partners LLC for conditional use to construct a mini storage facility at 1990 Buchholzer Boulevard. Other than Mr. Antonucci, are there persons wishing to speak on behalf or opposition? Has anyone signed in?
This is Brad Tidwell. Can you hear me?
Mr. Tidwell, if you could please raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm the testimony you give will be the truth? Please confirm by saying I do.
Yes.
Okay, Mr. Antonucci.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair, Commission members. Oakview Capital Partners LLC proposes to renovate the existing 45,000 square foot retail building to develop a climate-controlled indoor self-storage facility. Conditional use approval is needed to establish this use within this retail business use district. The planned storage facility would occupy approximately 45,000 square feet on the ground level of the existing building, as well as another 45,000 square feet in an added mezzanine level, allowing for a net rentable square footage of roughly 61,000 square feet. The planned storage facility would consist of individual indoor climate-controlled self-contained units of various sizes. Petitioner would make cosmetic upgrades to the existing well-maintained brick and split face block building. No additions to the building are planned. Landscaping would be added and maintained. Indoor climate-controlled storage provides customers with comfortable house-like setting for storing their items. Petitioner states there would be at least 20 cameras inside and outside the building for security. Operating hours are 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. Monday through Sunday. The main building sits far back on the lot, and there are a large amount of paved parking spaces on site. It's more suitable to the recent use as a big box retail store. The initial climate-controlled storage use would require only 17 spaces. In the short term, the parking area would be repaired where needed and maintained. Depending on market demand, petitioner will ultimately utilize the bulk of this existing parking area with either out parcel, retail users, or additional non-climate storage units. These storage units, if built, would be of similar design and materials, brick and split face block, as the main building. 9 single-story buildings would be arranged within what is currently the parking area east of the building. Buildings would range in footprint from 2,145 square feet to 3,960. A long storage building is depicted on the easternmost end of the site, perpendicular to Buchholzer Boulevard. This building will have street-facing retail-style decorative features so as not to present a blank wall to the street. There will also be landscape screening along the street and the foundation of this building. The use of the formerly retail property for self-storage will provide a community service for residents and business users alike without imposing on surrounding businesses, while helping the area survive in a changing retail landscape Planning staff recommends approval subject to conditions. Thank you.
Thank you. Is anyone here to speak in favor of this item?
Yes, ma'am. This is Brad Tidwell.
Yes, may we have your address?
178 Jellicoe Circle, and that's in South Lake, Texas.
Okay, we're waiting for you.
Yes, ma'am. Just to add a little bit to what Mike said, so we're a Dallas-based development group, and we specialize in climate-controlled Class A self-storage development, mostly in the Dallas-Fort Worth and Kansas City markets, but now coming up towards the Ohio markets as well. And this is our first opportunity up there. And again, we do usually ground-up development, but when the opportunity presents itself, we like to do a conversion of existing buildings. And we find as we kind of look across the country, a lot of times there's these larger retail buildings that are left behind and you know, need to be revived and a new use come into place. And usually this works pretty well. And like I said, we build a Class A product. The demand is there, so it makes sense to do the deal. The feasibility is done, and we just plan to make it a much better property than it is now, and make it more valuable. So that's what we do.
Thank you. Is there anyone else to speak in favor of this item? Brad, do you have any kind of drawings that we could look at to show configuration, talking about 9 different units on the parking lot area as well as something internal? Are there any drawings?
Yes, I believe Mike has those.
Yeah, I can actually share the screen with the, I have the, our PC map, and that's all I can grab right now, quickly anyway, but it shows the arrangement of the buildings in the front if this front area were to be, you know, filled with the storage units. This is the building along the Buckholzer, which we were concerned with, you know, the front face, and the petitioners in agreement to, you know, dress this up a bit as, you know, more of a retail type front in the front. There would also be landscaping restored along the front. So otherwise, if these aren't built, I guess the idea would be to potentially there's enough room here to, you know, lease out space to retail, you know, buildings similar to what you'd see here. There'd be, you know, potentially other retail buildings added to the front there.
Will there be an on-site manager or a local manager of the property?
Yes, ma'am. So we use our 2 management firms that we use are Public Storage and CubeSmart, and both of those are the 2 largest self-storage management companies in the world. And so you've probably seen their facilities in your market. They're all over the country, but they're national, publicly traded management companies and owners of self-storage. So it will have a national name and management on the facility.
I have a question. So you mentioned that the demand is there. Do you know how many self-storage facilities are within a few mile radius around the one that you're planning on building? And how did you assess the need for this additional business?
Yeah, so self-storage works in 3-mile circles is the way the industry looks at demand. And you want to try to have less than about 8 square foot of storage per person within that 3-mile ring. And so basically we subscribe to a national database that provides that information, and then we go verify it. But basically, I don't have the numbers in front of me, but I believe there's like 50-something thousand people within a 3-mile circle of this facility. And our national database shows us that there's currently a little over 6 square foot of storage per person, and even less climate controlled storage per person. So the climate controlled number is probably more like 2 or 3 square foot of that 6 foot, if that makes sense. And climate controlled is what most people are wanting these days. Most self-storage is leased by women, and they want to be able to walk into a safe, comfortable property and secure when they're looking to lease. And so we try to provide that for them. But also because of your climate up there, just like Texas here, it's really hot. People want to be in climate control. Well, in Ohio, it gets pretty cold in the winter, so people want to be able to go access their stuff when it's not, out of the elements. So climate controlled is what's really in demand. And because climate controlled storage is really kind of new to the industry, most markets will have quite a bit of non-climate drive-up facilities, but will have very limited climate controlled facilities. So that's why you see that the per capita number there is pretty low. And this, I think it's 2 or 3 square feet per person is only climate controlled. So not only are we bringing more storage to the market, which still stays within the equilibrium of 8 square foot, but bring in more climate control, which is in demand.
Mike, what would the signage look like and where would it be placed for this facility?
The signage that was proposed is basically what we saw was on the building. We do have a condition here that the signage would need to meet code. So we would expect that there's a sign on the building and then essentially a pole sign out front, but it would all have to be code.
Yeah, I also could see where it could be a benefit coming in on the north side area, seeing as though the International Institute is in that area, and I'm watching the rate of folks coming in, moving in that area. Matter of fact, the housing market is booming over there, so I could see why they want to put that over there. And I'm gonna leave it at that.
Any other questions? Sorry, Julie?
What is the monthly cost to lease space in the facility?
The average size unit is in the industry, and here is a 10 by 10, which is 100 square feet. And based on our market research, that deal will probably rent day one around $120 a month. And then once we get more stabilized, hoping to push that into the, $130 something a month. So $1.30 plus a foot is kind of one way to look at that.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, climate controlled is about 20% more expensive than a non-climate unit, is kind of the average.
Any other questions? Does anyone speak in opposition? We'll declare the public hearing closed. What is the recommendation from the commission?
I move to approve.
Second.
And Ms. Boyes,
Yes.
Mr. Wyatt,
Yes.
Sweet Bunton,
Yes.
Ms. York,
Aye.
Ms. Thurman,
Aye.
Mrs. Green.
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Welcome. Ladies and gentlemen, this public hearing before the Akron City Planning Commission will come to order. The order of procedure here today will be the Department of Planning and Urban Development will present each of the petitions or applications on the agenda. We will hear from the proponents. We will hear from the opponents. Planning Commission members will consider their decision on each matter. Our decision may be for approval, disapproval, or time for additional study. Anyone wishing to speak on a specific item under consideration will be recognized and identify himself or herself by name and address. If you intend to speak or offer any comment or opinion pertaining to any items in this program, you will need to be sworn in for your testimony. We have listed petitioner Pete Segedy and Mr. Antonucci. Is there anyone else wishing to speak? Hey, David?
If you could, please raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm the testimony you give will be the truth? Please pick by saying yes or I do.
Do.
PC 2020-52 CU, petition of Pete Segedy for conditional use to construct a detached garage within 6 inches of the rear property line at 60 East Dresden Avenue. Mr. Antonucci.
Thank you, Madam Chair, Commission members. Pete Segedy intends to replace the current 1-car garage with a new 2-car garage measuring 24 feet by 24 feet to be located in the backyard to the east of the dwelling. A minimum 3-foot setback is required for a detached accessory structure in the backyard. Petitioner is requesting that the new garage be set 6 inches from the property line. As such, conditional use approval is required for a 2-foot 6-inch variance from the property line adjacent to 70 East Dresden. The garage would feature a 16 feet by 7-foot overhead door on the front and a 3-foot man door on the west side. The exterior would be a vinyl sided with gable roof constructed from material that would match the style of the existing dwelling. Corner lots often present unique circumstances for placement of accessory structures. Although the required setback for the detached garage is 3 feet, the variance should not have a negative impact on surrounding properties. The adjacent dwelling to the east at 70 East Dresden sits further back on the property, which would still allow ample room for light and air circulation. The new garage would provide storage for the family's vehicles and lawn equipment and would only be used for residential purposes. Proposed improvements represent a significant investment in this property and should have a positive impact on the neighborhood. Planning staff recommends approval subject to conditions. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone here to speak in favor of this item? Is Mr. Segedy?
No, they
Line.
confirm that they would attend today.
Yeah, Mr. Segedy did call this morning. He wasn't able to get on the call.
Okay, is there anyone to speak in opposition? Are there any questions from the commission?
Yes, the property to the south looks like it has a garage that's very close to the property line. Do you know if that's what, got a variance as well?
That to the south, that would actually be, they would only need 3 feet. I think that's probably 3 feet. That's that. You mean at this back property?
The
line here,
back
too.
property.
That's a good question. I don't know. And it's just, again, this is sort of a line map that we draw. I mean, we haven't had any indication that that's non-conforming. It could very well be 3 feet there.
And have you talked to the property to the east? The owners, they don't seem to mind?
Yeah, they were all notified. I understand that Mr. Segedy did talk to all the neighbors, and the neighbors are fine with his plans. It's a very well maintained house, and he gets along with the neighbors there.
Great, thank you.
Any other questions from the commission? We'll declare this public hearing closed. What is the recommendation?
Move to approve.
Second.
Okay, Ms. Boyce,
Yes.
Mr. Wyatt,
Yes.
Ms. Sweet Bunton,
Yes.
Mrs. York,
Aye.
Ms. Thurman,
Aye.
Mrs. Green.
Yes. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, this public hearing before the Akron City Planning Commission will come to order. The order of procedure here today will be the Department of Planning and Urban Development will present each of the petitions or applications on the agenda. We will hear from the proponents. We will hear from the opponents. Planning Commission members will then consider their decision on each matter. Our decision may be for approval, disapproval, or time for additional study. Anyone wishing to speak on a specific item under consideration will be recognized and identify himself or herself by name and address. If you intend to speak or offer any comment or opinion pertaining to any items in this program, you will need to be sworn in for your testimony. I understand we have Mr. Antonucci and the petitioner and others who have signed on. So David, can we have them sworn in, please?
I have quite a few people here in the waiting room, so just give me a second and I will let you know when they're all in.
Okay.
Okay.
We can't hear them. Maybe they just.
Okay, those are the individuals that I can see that are in our waiting room that have told me that they were going to attend today. So we can proceed.
Okay, we have PC 2020-54 CU. Petitioner is requesting a conditional use to establish a type A child daycare home at 1290 Country Club Drive.
Okay, those are the individuals that I can see that are in our waiting room that have told me that they were going to attend today. So we can.
Okay, has everyone been sworn in that's planning to speak?
If I could have everybody that just logged into the meeting, please mute the live stream or close out of that window. It will echo when you try to speak.
Okay,
Alrighty. Do you plan to testify? If you could, please raise your right hand. And then do you swear or affirm the testimony you're going to give will be the truth? Please say I do or yes.
I do.
Looks like a couple of you were muted, so if you could unmute and do that, that'd be helpful.
Yes. We do.
Alrighty.
Okay,
Do you plan to testify? Please raise your right hand. And then do you swear or affirm the testimony you're
Again, please, if you have the live stream open on your desktop, please close out of that.
I do.
No, we have a thing that we have to get out of.
Ready?
And I don't know what it is because we're hearing two things.
Okay, Mr. Antonucci.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair, Commission members. Grace Wadood is requesting permission to establish the type A child daycare home at this location. A child daycare home, defined as any place in which childcare is provided for 10 or more children, requires conditional use approval in a residence use district. Proposed type A daycare home would occupy the main portion of the lower level of the this over 3,000 square foot two-story dwelling. Care for a maximum of 12 children would be provided by the petitioner. Her staff would also include 2 full-time child care assistants. Child care services will be available 24 hours, 7 days a week. A large outdoor play area is available in the petitioner's backyard, as well as additional visits to the nearby park. The property contains a driveway capable of providing ample space for drop-off and pickup of the children. Petitioner has operated a daycare for up to 6 children at this property since 2016. She now wishes to obtain a state license to be approved to operate as a type A home provider. The petitioner holds a bachelor's degree in social work, has obtained her child development associate CDA credentials, and has over 6 years of experience in being a child care administrator. Since the children are typically dropped off or picked up at various times throughout the week, traffic congestion should not be an issue. Providing care for up to an additional 12 children, for 12 children, an additional 6 would not significantly raise the level of activity on the property, nor have a detrimental effect on this residential neighborhood. The property is well maintained. Providing quality daycare services is beneficial to the entire city, and the planning staff supports the request and recommends approval subject to the conditions. Thank you.
Thank you. In addition to the persons wishing to testify today, we acknowledge the transmitted electronics emails that we have received in regards to this property. Is there anyone here to speak in favor of this item? Anyone to speak in favor of this item? Anyone speak in opposition?
David and Nancy Coley, 1287 Country Club Drive.
You may proceed.
My wife and I, Nancy, live directly across the street from the petitioner. They're on the corner of Menlo Park and Country Club Drive. We oppose the rezoning request to a type A daycare. Zoning maintains the integrity and character of our neighborhood. The proposed rezoning would do the opposite. It would denigrate the character of this neighborhood. It's a very nice residential neighborhood, not a commercial area. There is another daycare directly across the street, Menlo Park, which is then catty corner to our property and directly across from Petitioner, that also has a daycare. That address is 1274 Country Club Road Drive. Traffic is already heavy with noise levels from these two daycare centers. Petitioner is open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, with the resulting traffic and noise. The daycare, where's my phone? The daycare, get my picture up. The daycare across the street petitioned for rezoning for pretty much, I believe, the same type A several years ago, and that was denied by the zoning board at that time. We think this petition should be denied. Also, we see no reason to treat this petitioner any different than across the street from them. The property appears taken care of, but has quite a few vehicles and other items. At last count this morning, at least 5 cars, a trailer bed, some sort, motorcycle, scooter, and other items. So it looks like a parking lot already. Doubling the amount of children served from 6 to up to 12 would exacerbate the traffic and the noise level. Additional employees would also be needed according to state guidelines, resulting in even more traffic and parked cars. Petitioner's Facebook page, excuse me a minute, already shows a post. It's an ad preview. Mama Grace and I welcome you to the Love of Grace 24/7 Child Care Network. We are now zoned for 12 children per shift. Apply ASAP. They're filling up fast. I think that's a little presumptuous on their part to already advertise that they have this zoning approved by your commission. Petitioner is not the owner of the property, so I'm not an expert on zoning rules, but I'm not even sure that they are the ones that can ask for this. Also, the owner of the property, the representative, which is Karen Oldham's son, Jeff Oldham, was unaware that the petitioner was going after this rezoning. So we believe petitioner is a good neighbor, provides a needed service to the community, but potentially doubling the number of children served 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, would not maintain the integrity of this neighborhood. Thank you very much for considering our objections to the rezoning request.
Thank you. Is there anyone else to speak in opposition?
I'm speaking in opposition, Madam Chair. I'm Mike Williams. I'm at 1263 Country Club, which is across the street. I'm also representing the following properties on Country Club this morning: 1277 Country Club, 1260 Country Club, 1251 Country Club, 1239 Country Club, and 1217 Country Club.
Okay, Mr. Williams, before you go any further, were you sworn in this morning?
I was.
Okay, didn't hear you, sorry.
No problem.
Go ahead. Go
Okay.
ahead.
Mr. Coley presented most of the facts that I was going to talk about, but in particular, the residents directly across the street from me, 1274 Country Club, made this same type of application several years ago. It was turned down by the Planning Commission at that time. The neighborhood organized and objected to the increase in traffic. And traffic is the key issue, and the one issue that no matter how well the child care center is run, they cannot eliminate the traffic. Only a couple things have changed in those years, so I don't want to keep us here any longer because Mr. Coley did present things very well. We have more children in the area now than we did at the time of that previous petition, specifically on Country Club, Belhar, and Dearborn, which are the 3 streets in this area. There are more pedestrians, more walkers, and more bicycle traffic, particularly because of COVID right now. But I suspect that that will continue because we are somewhat of a cul-de-sac, a little elongated, but we are a cul-de-sac and we do not have sidewalks in this area. So all children, walkers, and bicyclists are all in the street. Pretty much the Coleys did a great job. I don't want to keep it going any longer, but we are pretty much, as the neighbors have talked and spoken, and I've talked to many of them, they are uniformly opposed to the expansion of the daycare at this location. And I think there are a number of people here who are even closer to the facility than I am that can present some of the problems that they are currently having in terms of noise and traffic that some of us don't necessarily see because of where our homes are located. I appreciate you listening to me this morning. And I forgot to say good morning to everybody, all the Planning Commission members and staff and council members who are on the call. And of course, my neighbors. Thank you very much and have a blessed day.
Thank you. Is there anyone else to speak in opposition?
Hi, Anthony Piscazzi, 1302 Country Club Drive. As Mr. Williams said, and as Mr. Coley said, I have to back up everything they're stating. They both did a very good job explaining pretty much everything I would have. But as the neighbor directly next door, I would say the traffic and the noise issue is the #1 complaint. Furthermore, this neighborhood we moved in about 4 years ago. We love this neighborhood for the fact that we're smack dab in the heart of West Akron, but not in a business district. So having a business located next to us is something we're strongly opposed to. Beyond that, I think the previous 2 speakers, Mr. Williams, Mr. Coley, stated everything that I would, and I back them up 100%. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilman?
Hi there. I just wanted to just say briefly that I had spoken to a number of the residents on this call since I started in January of this year, who had expressed concerns unrelated to the specific petition, but with regard to the daycare facility and the noise and speeding. And I haven't had a chance to speak with the petitioner, but I guess what I would say is that without understanding how some of those concerns as they currently exist would be mitigated, it would be difficult for me to say that this additional expansion should be permitted, and certainly the decision of this planning commission is the decision of this planning commission, the recommendation. But my suggestion would be that time may be appropriate to allow for more discussion. I know that some of the residents had reached out to me and didn't feel like they had an opportunity or had heard about this kind of late. So I just wanted to weigh in with that.
Thank you. Is there anyone else wishing to speak on this item?
Yeah.
Yes, please. Give us your name and address.
My name is Benita Johnson. I live at 1222 Dearborn Drive. Thank you so much for allowing me to speak. I'd like to say that I put in a plea for the stability of this neighborhood. My grandchildren are the 5th generation in this 6-block area here, starting with my husband's grandmother, and now my grandchildren reside on Kenilworth Drive. And we have one of the most stable middle-class neighborhoods in the city of Akron, I think, considering 5 generations. We've attended the public school here, Case School, and I'd certainly like to see this stay as a stable residential neighborhood. And I'm leery of conditional zoning, which would change that. Thank you so much for letting me speak.
Thank you. Is there anyone else wishing to speak on this item? Okay, Mr. Antonucci, I have a question in regards to state licensing. What impact does the state have?
Wait, Jeffrey King wanted to speak. He's been raising his hand.
Okay. Jeffrey.
You're on mute.
Mr. King, you're on mute.
Sorry, am I talking now? Okay, my name is Jeffrey King. I live at 108 Menlo Park Drive, which is just 2 doors down from this particular business. I've lived here for 16 years. We were unaware that you could actually do this type of business in a lovely community like this. I must say the statement that the landscaping is maintained is inaccurate. As the other people have said, there's multiple cars. The kids play on the driveway, not anywhere else, because there's nowhere else to play. I often see that unsupervised. The noise level is extremely high at all times when they're outside. I just don't think it's an appropriate area for a child care center, and they have no fencing, so there's no way the children can be contained in a supervised area. Just all in all, I just do not agree with increasing the number of children that can be there. And as many people have said, this neighborhood has changed dramatically in the last 5 years. We have lots and lots of new families, and they all have kids. So thank you for letting me speak. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Is there anyone else?
There's one more speaker.
I see Stephen White wants to.
Okay.
Unmute. All right. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
My name is Stephen White.
Yes,
I live at 1237 Dearborn Drive. I have to agree with everything that's been said prior to what I was going to say. I'm very upset that notifications about rezoning in our neighborhood are not being sent out. I found out about this from a friend of mine who lives on Hollywood. I received no notification that Mary Dozier was going to open a child care at 1274 and that Mrs. Wadud was going to open one at 1290. This is very inappropriate. This is a very stable residential neighborhood. We don't need businesses. Businesses are for West Market Street, Exchange Street, and Montrose. People moving into our neighborhood and setting up businesses, especially someone who only rents, so to me is very inappropriate. I can't express enough how very upset I am about not even knowing that these 2 daycares were on the corner. We thought something was going on. but to actually have them licensed, I was not aware of this. I would personally prefer that they would both be taken out of the neighborhood as far as I'm concerned. There is noise. There is more traffic speeding up my street. They think they're going to Market Street and they turn up Dearborn by mistake. They fly up the street. We have no sidewalks. We have children moving into the neighborhood, and I'm very concerned about that. So thank you very much for allowing me to speak. I appreciate it. And you all have a great day. Thank you.
Thank you.
We have them
Anyone
licensed.
else?
I was not aware of this. I would personally prefer that they were.
We do have a new, one more person that just joined that had pre-registered, Orville Reed.
Street and they turn up Dearborn by mistake. They fly up the street.
Mr. Reed, could you please mute the live stream and then we'll have you, the live stream will echo if you unmute while it's going on. We do have a new, one more person that just joined that had pre-registered, Orville Reed.
Street and they turn up Dearborn by mistake.
Mr. Reed, I need you to mute or close out of the live stream before you unmute your microphone, please.
All right, I'm.
Okay, David, has Mr. Reed been sworn in?
He is not. Is he ready to unmute? Mr. Reed, if you could.
Mute your microphone, please.
All right, I'm.
Hello?
Hello, if you're going to testify, please raise your right hand.
At this point, Mr. Reed.
All right, do you swear or affirm the testimony you give will be the truth?
I do. I swear to tell the truth.
He is not. Is he ready to unmute?
Mr. Reed,
and please turn the live stream off. Mr. Reed, if you could.
Mute your microphone, please.
Hello?
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 I thought we had it here.
We did. When you turn the live stream off, I don't know how to do that.
Okay, can you hear us?
No.
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. Good. Did you wish to swear me in?
Yes.
Okay. Very good.
I believe we did, but we can do it again. If you could, please raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm testimony you give will be the truth?
I do. I do. My name is Orville Reed, and my wife and I reside at 137, Bellhard Drive in Akron, Ohio, 44313. We live essentially down the street from the requesting party. Unfortunately, I was listening to all of the proceedings here today until this one started, and then my lack of technical skills failed me, and or actually came to the forefront. So what I want to say is this. I think that in the absence of some compelling need of the community, not simply of the homeowner, we shouldn't make this change that affects the composition and the character of this neighborhood. There are lots of daycare centers in the immediate neighborhood. So in the absence of some really compelling need, this request should be denied by this group. This is a community where there are lots of children, and there's absolutely no need to grant this request. And I would ask the board to take that into account in determining whether or not this should happen. Thank you very much for your time, and I appreciate your patience today. Thank you.
Anyone else wishing to speak on this item? Okay, seeing, hearing none. Declare this public hearing closed. And what is the recommendation from the commission?
Madam Chair, I have a couple of questions, please.
Yes.
So
Julie.
Mr. Antonucci, so they're currently operating a daycare there. So what type of license do they have now?
Okay, what's operating there currently is a type B daycare, which is up to 6 kids, which is permitted in any single family home in the city of Akron and also permitted by the state. So the state will go in, job and family services through the county, and we'll do inspections. But anybody is permitted to watch up to 6 kids in a single family home in the city. So she's operating there legally up to 6. Now to request more than 6, up to 12 for the type A childcare, that's where the conditional use requirement kicks in. So that's the request today.
Okay, and it's 6 kids at any given time. So there could potentially be more kids than just 6 at any one time, then, right? So if some kid goes from 7 to 3, then another child could come from 3:15 to whatever, right, Mike?
That's correct.
Okay, thank you.
It looks like Grace wanted to speak.
Okay, Grace,
Grace, you're muted.
you have to unmute.
I'm sorry. I thought the question was directed to me. I was just going to say that I am a type B license. That's all.
I'm sorry, I didn't realize you were on today. My apologies.
Madam Chair, I noticed an additional letter came in through an email at 1246 Dearborn Drive, and that was.
Are you mute?
Can y'all hear me?
No.
Oh, I'm not on
Yes.
mute.
That's not on.
I can hear you.
That's not on.
It was an additional letter that came in at 1246 Dearborn Drive, and from a Gary and Elizabeth Johnson, and it was interesting to see number 5 what they stated. Nobody was in favor of this period in that particular community, even though we do authorize type B all over the city. So I just wanted to take that additional letter that was sent in respect to those that got that email.
Okay, I have declared this public hearing closed, and I am requesting recommendation from the commission at this time.
I move to deny the conditional use to establish a type A childcare at the home of 1290 Country Club Drive.
I second the motion.
Okay, Ms. Boyce,
And
Yes.
toward the state.
Mr. Wyatt,
Yes.
Mrs. Sweet Bunton,
Yes.
Mrs. York,
Aye.
Ms. Thurman,
No.
Mrs. Green. Mrs. Green?
No. And I do want to, I'm saying no. Just letting everyone know that this recommendation will be processed through the Akron City Council as a final measure, but I'm also asking if the ward councilman would convene with the neighbors as well as the petitioner to see if any issues need to be resolved before it does come to council. Mr. Malik.
Thank you.
Possible?
I certainly will do that.
Okay. Take that silence. maybe.
Madam Chair, it seems,
Moving right along. Thank you.
you want to,
Ladies and gentlemen, public hearing before the Akron City Planning Commission.
Renee, you're breaking up, and it looks like Grace wants to
The
talk.
order
And I,
procedure here today will be the Department of Planning and Urban
Renee.
Development will present each of the petitions. Yes.
Renee, you're breaking up
Sorry.
terribly. It's hard to.
Yes.
And it looks like Grace wants to talk again, and I don't know if you want to permit that or not.
Okay, I'm not hearing the question.
Your sound is very in and out, number one. And number two, it looks like Grace Wadud
Okay,
wants.
we have closed this. Yes.
okay, anybody that was here for
Can you
this
hear me
item, I'm
now?
going to remove you from
All
the,
right.
you can continue as the chair has closed this item for public comment. So if you didn't hear, the chair.
No, we've closed the public hearing at this point. It's going to be passed on to Akron City Council, and I was asking if the ward councilman find
Notification. Support for the ambient mode headlines service is scheduled.
Yes, so we are struggling a little bit with a connection issue here. Again, I'm going to remove everybody that was here for the last item.
The public hearing is closed.
Have a nice day.
Ms. Green, I just wanted to mention that I heard what you said before, and I will reach out to the petitioner to discuss it with them.
Alyssa?
Thank you.
Okay, and the neighbors as well. Seem like they have very similar concerns, and if you could put them together in some kind of forum to either further discuss, present whatever the state allows or doesn't allow or whatever, if you could have that resolved before it does come to council, it would be helpful.
Absolutely. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, Alyssa, are we back?
It looks like we're back. We're seeing if I can get, is this Michael Lewis that is joining us now? Do I have the right individual? Connecting to audio.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, public hearing before the Akron City Planning Commission will come to order. The order procedure here today will be the Department of Planning and Urban Development will present each of the petitions or applications on the agenda. We will hear from the proponents. We will hear from the opponents. The Planning Commission members will then consider their decision on each matter. Our decision may be for approval, disapproval, or time for additional study. Anyone wishing to speak on a specific item under consideration will be recognized and identify himself or herself by name and address. If you intend to speak or offer any comment or opinion pertaining to any items in this program, you will need to be sworn in for your testimony. And I believe that's Mr. Antonucci and Mr. Lewis, PC 2020-55CU, petition of Michael Lewis for conditional use to establish an automobile sales and service facility at 841 West Exchange Street. Mr. Antonucci.
Yes, thank you, Madam. Do we want to swear in Mr. Lewis at this point?
Okay.
Mr. Lewis, could you please close out of the live stream on whatever other device you've going on?
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Sir. Please raise your right hand, Mr. Lewis.
Please.
Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth? Please confirm.
Yeah. Yes.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair, Commission members. Petitioner Michael Lewis is requesting permission to establish an automobile sales and service business at this location. Although the property has been left vacant over the past few years, past uses have been a gas station, ambulance service, and a hand car wash. All are classified as retail uses. Sale and service of automobiles is classified as a commercial or U4 use. This is why the conditional use is required. This triangularly shaped, roughly 6,000 square foot property contains a 48 foot by 25 foot or 1,200 square foot 2-bay masonry block garage office structure. Previously, hard surface lot is crumbling and overgrown with grass. Petitioner intends to renovate and paint the building, repair the hard surface lot, and add landscaping to the point of the intersecting streets. The chain link fence surrounding the property would be repaired and retained. Only after the improvements are made would he begin selling and servicing cars from the property. The petitioner would be engaged in light mechanical work and detailing in addition to the sales of automobiles, and would employ 3 to 4 individuals from the Akron area. Hours of operation would be from 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. The proposed automobile sales and service business would be on property that has been used for vehicle-oriented businesses over the years. The building with 2 overhead garage doors is conducive to such. The property has been left in disrepair and has been an eyesore in the neighborhood in recent years. The proposed improvements will upgrade the structure and grounds and put the property in a productive use and maintenance. The property is nearby other similar uses. As such, provided all proposed and required improvements are completed prior to any sales or service of vehicles taking place, and storage of vehicles on the lot is limited to no more than 20. Planning staff is of the opinion this would be an appropriate use of the property and recommends approval subject to conditions. Thank you.
Does anyone speak in favor of this item? To give us your name and address.
Yes. My name is Michael Lewis, 1139 Welton Ave. Yes.
Okay, is there anything you'd like to add in addition to what Mr. Antonucci has stated?
Like you said, I'm aware of the property being vacant over 12 years or longer, and it has been an eyesore to the area of Dodge and West Exchange Street. I just see that there's a need for a nice little car lot, light maintenance. A lot of ladies, need little maintenance done on vehicles like wiper blades, headlights, maybe brakes, and little light work. I'm not the type to want to get in up changing motors and having cars laying on a lot. Everything I do, I would try to make sure every person that bring a car in would be able to pick that car up by 5 or 6 that evening. I don't want no cars laying overnight. I don't want no motors laying out over, I don't want it to be a junkyard. I just want it to be something where somebody can bring a car, get something done the same day, and move on. Little light car sales, and maybe a little detailing, cleaning up the cars that we do buy and sell. I'm willing to look at the area. I try to hire from within the area, people that live in the area, give little work to people walking up and down the street that want to make some change for their pocket, clean up the lot around it. I'm always willing to do things like that, and I have done it. But that's the basic what I want to use that property for.
Is anyone else to speak in favor of this item? Anyone to speak in opposition? Any questions from the commission?
Madam Chair, I have a couple questions.
Yes.
Mr. Lewis, do you currently own the property?
Yes.
Okay. And is it the,
Recently just purchased it though.
okay,
Recently.
is it the orange building? I drove up
Yes,
there.
it was orange. Now it's yellow.
Oh, it's
And
yellow.
I already painted it.
Great.
You just got to do a little bit more touch up. So if you drive past it, you'll see it look like a totally different building already.
Okay. And do you have a license to currently sell used vehicles through the state of Ohio?
No, not at this time. Not at this time. That's why I'm not selling any. No.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions from the commission? Okay, I have a couple in regard.
You're breaking up on me pretty good.
You froze up, Renee.
I haven't heard anything she said.
No, she's not on. I mean, I don't know what happened. She'll have to get back on.
We might
Not just you.
Log out and log back in.
It says Miss Green left. That's what it said.
Yes, so Renee has completely lost her connection. So Mike, I don't know how you want to proceed.
Yeah, I got nothing but time.
Let's wait and see if she can come back in. Maybe she's trying to call back in.
Yeah, a lot of times that helps the connection if she logs back in. So she should probably be back on in a second.
Okay, no rush. I have to get used to this new way of doing business.
Been a learning curve for all of us, so you're not alone.
So we've been doing this for 6 months now and we're still learning, so.
It's still learning. I have to believe it.
It looks like Renee has made it back.
Comes Renee.
How'd that happen?
We
Okay,
lost her
I'm
for a
just
second.
asking. Yeah, I was asking Mr. Lewis about feasibility of having as many vehicles on the property as suggested in the documentation, up to 20 possibly.
It could hold up to 20. That's not my design. My design is to just make it a small car lot, maybe 3 to 5, and do light maintenance, no major maintenance, no motors laying around, no cars even laying around, because I don't want that laying around my house, and I know I don't want to be an eyesore to the public, the people around. So, you know, I try to respect the other person. So my thing is, if you would bring your car in, you want some wipers put on, 5-minute, 10-minute job, in and out. So, and my design is first come, first serve that day. Whatever we do that day, we'll be leaving that day. I don't want nothing sitting overnight. That's not my design. And I don't want it to be an eyesore to nobody. When you drive down the street, I want it to be a nice, clean building. I want the yard to be clean. And that's what I want to do. And just make it a vibrant little shop, and hire a couple people from the neighborhood and make money.
Okay, you're indicating that you're going to service additional cars other than what you sell, is that correct?
Yeah, light mechanical work only, yes.
Okay, anyone else have any other questions? Is there anyone speaking in opposition? Okay, we'll declare the public hearing closed. What is the recommendation from the commission?
Move to approve.
Second.
Okay.
Hey, Ms. Boyce,
Yes.
Mr. Wyatt,
Yes.
Mrs. Sweet Bunton,
Yes.
Ms. York,
Aye.
Ms. Thurman,
Aye.
Mrs. Green.
No. Okay, thank you. PC 20, oh, sorry. Hearing before the Akron City Planning Commission will come to order. The order of procedure here today will be the Department of Planning and Urban Development will present each of the petitions or applications on the agenda. We will hear from the proponents. We will hear from the opponents. The Planning Commission members will then consider their decision on each matter. Our decision may be for approval, disapproval, or time for additional study. Anyone wishing to speak on a specific item under consideration will be recognized and identify himself or herself by name and address. If you intend to speak or offer any comment or opinion pertaining to any items in this program, you'll need to be sworn in for your testimony. It's Mr. Antonucci, and is there a petitioner? Margot Slaughter. Okay, David, could you swear in?
Yes, if you could, please raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm the testimony you will give will be the truth? Please confirm.
Yes,
I do.
I do.
Okay, Mr. Antonucci.
Thank you, Madam Chair, Commission members. Glory Hallelujah Child Care is requesting permission to establish a child care business center at this location. Child Daycare Business Center requires conditional use approval in a residential district. Proposed daycare center, also known as Glory Hallelujah Child Care, would occupy the entire structure of an approximate 2,400 square foot residential style building with up to 44 full-time or part-time children, ranging from 18 months up to 12 years of age. The site was formerly used as a nursing home for up to 9 residents until 2016. The proposed floor plan is to have separate spaces for toddlers, preschool, and school-age children, including 3 restrooms, as well as other separate rooms that include offices, a kitchen, and a computer reading room. The petitioner would be the only full-time employee with 4 other part-time employees on site. Child care services will be available Monday through Friday from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. There would be no overnight stays. An outdoor fenced play area measuring 24 feet by 54 feet would be situated along the northwest side of the structure, which is behind the building. The property contains an asphalt driveway with 6 off-street parking spaces, including 1 for handicapped. Although the parking area is in fairly good shape, it would be upgraded with asphalt infill, new curbs and walks. Additional landscape materials would be planted between the parking area and Slauson Street. Petitioner's had experience operating child care centers for many years. She has been operating Glory Hallelujah Child Care elsewhere since 2008 and would like to update and utilize the existing site for the business. The proposed use should not be intrusive to the neighborhood, as the existing building is located along a major thoroughfare. Outdoor activity will be at the rear of the property and contained within a fenced-in play area. The updating and reuse of the former nursing home should not have a negative impact upon the neighborhood. Instead, it would reutilize the vacated site by providing quality daycare services that are beneficial to the entire city and residents of this neighborhood, and will continue to serve a need within the community. And planning staff recommends approval, subject to conditions.
Thank you. Is there anyone wishing to speak in favor of this item?
Yes. Margot Slaughter.
And may we have your address?
The address that is 1140 South Hawkins Avenue, Akron, Ohio, 44320.
Okay, is that your address?
Oh, my residential address? My residential address is 1682 Gaylord Drive, Akron, Ohio, 44320.
Thank you.
Thanks. I am the owner of the property at 1140 South Hawkins Avenue, Akron, Ohio. And we just were looking to bring more of a good area, bring it up. It would be located, it's located right across the street from a park. One, just bringing a different vibe in the area. I am already operating off of Hawkins Avenue. I am in the church right down the way on the corner of 1010 South Hawkins Avenue. So I am in the area. I'm just will be relocating to my own building where we would have a playground and that in a fenced area. I don't know if you're still there.
Okay, did you wish to add anything else?
No.
Okay, is there anyone else to speak in favor of this item? Anyone speak in opposition? Are there any questions from the commission? I would declare this public hearing closed. May I have a recommendation from the commission?
Move to approve.
Second.
Okay, Ms. Boyce,
Yes.
Mr. Wyatt,
Yes.
Mrs. Sweet Bunton,
Yes.
Mrs. York,
Aye.
Ms. Thurman,
Aye.
Mrs. Green.
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Renewals, item number 1, recommendation for approval. Petitioner is maintaining the property.
Second.
Okay, Ms. Boyce,
Yes.
Mr. Wyatt,
Yes.
Mrs. Sweet Bunton,
Yes.
Mrs. York,
Aye.
Ms. Thurman,
Aye.
Mrs. Green.
Yes. Item number 2, recommendation for approval. Petitioner has complied and is maintaining the property.
Second.
Ms. Boyce,
Yes.
Mr. Wyatt,
Yes.
Ms. Sweet Bunton,
Yes.
Mrs. York,
Aye.
Ms. Thurman,
Aye.
Mrs. Green.
Yes. Thank you. Item number 3, recommendation for approval. Work is complete and conforms to conditional use ordinance.
Second.
Ms. Boyce,
Yes.
Mr. Wyatt,
Yes.
Mrs. Sweet Bunton,
Yes.
Ms. York,
Aye.
Ms. Thurman,
Aye.
Mrs. Green.
No. Is there anything else to come before the commission? Well,
Oh, ma'am.
in remembrance of 9/11, hope everyone stays safe through through the weekend.
And thank you all for your time this morning. This was a long one, so we appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks. Thank you all.
Take care. Have a great weekend.
Thank you
Bye-bye.
guys for all the hard work that you put into this. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Meeting is
Bye-bye.
adjourned.
Thanks. Thank you.